What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We're going to talk about this bike today. It's a 20, for those of you that don't know anyway, this is a 2025 Africa Twin. It is, I've had it now for just over a year, and that's what we're going to talk today about. What are my feelings, thoughts, and everything about this bike over a year of ownership. And who do I think it's for? Anyway, so my thoughts on this bike. I think the bike's actually really good. Like, when you break it down to what it actually is, an adventure bike, blah blah blah, like that whole sort of thing, it's a great bike. It's very reliable, and it does all of the things it's supposed to good, with the exception of a couple of things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, one of the first things I want to get out the way, fuel mileage. It's an adventure bike. Pretty much most all adventure bikes get really good to really decent fuel mileage. I don't know of any that don't. So this is I guess you'd call it the base model Africa Twin. It's not the adventure sport, so it does not have the bigger fuel tank. So it doesn't go quite as far. However, it will still get roughly about 200, if you don't play around like I do. It'll get about 220, 230 miles of tank before you're completely out, which is good in my opinion. I don't see that to be bad. I mean, that's further than any sport bike will go. Let's see, in the cornering, it does really, really well. It actually does better than I had ever expected in the cornering. It's clearly no sport bike, but most of the people that I ride with are on sport bikes, and it actually does better than everybody expects at keeping up with most of the sport bikes in the corners. Straight line, obviously never going to keep up. I will say, for those of you that are curious, on the correct tires, tire pressure, so on and so forth, it'll hit 140. For those of you that are curious about that, so it will reach 140, give or take a couple miles an hour for various different situations. However, as I said, 140 flat ground, no heels, on street-like tires, or better to say, on the factory tires, which is the Anarchy Adventure, I believe it's what they're called. The ones that I have on here are the Anarchy Wilds, which is like it's more dedicated to being off-road. But even with these on, it easily will see between 130, 135. And so yeah, plenty fast enough, and it gets up there very quickly. I mean, like I said, it's just a solid, reliable motorcycle. Like, no matter what way I mean, in my opinion, it's just basically a glorified dirt bike. But there's some things. Oh, by the way, the motor has plenty of power. I think the ergonomics of things could be tweaked a little bit, but overall not bad. And some of it is just kind of really subjective, because it's just like a me thing versus like this really has to be a certain way. It's just, some people have longer thumbs than I do, so Like when I have to make adjustments here, like I have to kind of do this number to move my hand over so I can reach all of the controls. And anyway, but that's, like I said, that's minuscule type stuff. This, for those of you that don't know, this bike has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on it, and it works really good most of the time. That's one of the drawbacks of the bike. Like, it has it on there, but some of the times it just doesn't work real good. It likes to disconnect and not do the things it's supposed to, so on and so forth. So it's finicky, we'll call it that, and just leave it there. There's kind of a love-hate relationship to that, and like I said, I just most of the time it works okay, but it goes through spouts where it just seems like it just doesn't want to work, and it's super frustrating. You'll plug it in, and like 5-10 seconds later it decides it wants to disconnect. So it, like I said, it's super frustrating, and it sucks sometimes, but it is what it is. However, beyond that, if you buy one of these, I highly encourage you to tune it. Now, this will be the part where I get an atrocious amount of people that decide to come at me and be like, which people have in the past, and want to come and say something about, oh, well, if you bought an adventure bike and you're tuning it, you got the wrong thing, blah blah blah, you should have got a sport bike. But yet, if you go into the community and you look it up, there's so many people that run around tuning these bikes. Now, I will say this. There are several tuners on the market for this. Not a ton. To my knowledge, right off the top of my head, there's like 4, maybe 5. In my opinion, the best one out there is made by Woolwich. And because it's the only one that I know of, right off the top of my head, that does a flash instead of a piggyback. And we can argue that all day. Some people are perfectly cool with the piggyback, but if your piggyback fails, you lose your tune. If your ECU has to fail in order for a Woolwich tune to quit working. So but anyway, so like I said, a Woolwich Racing tune is, in my opinion, probably the best software, hardware, whatever stuff that you're going to use in order to put a tune in this bike and get rid of the atrocious amount of restrictions that Honda puts in the ECU. Anyway, enough of that. As I said before, overall, I think the bike is really good. And I think it does all of the things that it's supposed to do really good. As far as off-road, it has an on and off-road ABS setup, so it'll allow you to spin the tires so much it won't let you just go ham on it, but it'll allow you to slip the back tire enough while you're off-road to do off-road things. And it tightens it up. I will say this much, which is another one of the things I don't like about this bike, is engine braking. It does not matter what setting you put it on. It does not change how much engine braking it does at all. Period. Anyway, who do I think this bike is for? I think this bike would be perfect for somebody that lives in an area that can take this bike to go do the things this bike is made to do. And then you can take that further by doing some upgrades, like changing out the cartridges in the front shocks, upgrading the rear shock. That way it'll handle more off-road better, because like the suspension on it is not bad, but it could be better. It actually could be a lot better, especially for what it's made for. It has plenty of suspension in it. I don't think it needs more or less. I think the amount that it comes with is perfect. But I don't know. Me personally, I think the bike is really well made. It handles the turns really well. When you want it to go fast, it'll go fast and it'll get there quickly. So I mean, if you're looking for something that's kind of an all-arounder, I think this is the bike. It gets up and goes as you want it to. I mean, it's by far, it's not the fastest. See, look, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but my screen just reset for who knows what reason. So it has certain issues. I don't know. The bike itself, like running, doesn't cut out or anything like that. So, but anyway, if you want to know more, by all means, hit me up in the comments, ask some questions. I'll be glad to get on here and answer those questions more specifically. And we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.